right, folks, welcome back, Real True Believers, to another video. I'm your host, L.A. Hale, and on this video, we're going to be talking about something that I have talked about on a previous video, and that is the whole balloon scandal that we're having now for some odd reason. Balloons flying over the United States. Apparently, this is something that just keeps happening, really under this administration, and just want to talk about it. So again, as Real True Believers here on this channel, we believe that Jesus Christ is the only way to heaven, but we also believe that the church in America is dead, and that the Christians in America, we need to wake up and realize what's really going on, and to kind of lead into this whole uh, news article by CNN that says a trio of new intrusions leaves America's leaders grasping for explanations. A deepening national security mystery is threatening the political storm after U.S. fighter jets scrambled 3 days in a row to shoot down a trio of unidentified aerial objects high over the North American continent. This article continues to say this flurry of attacks on the unknown crafts came a week after the highly public tracking and ultimate downing of a Chinese balloon suspected of carrying out surveillance. Now, the thin details trickling out of the Pentagon and Capitol Hill are about making an already highly unusual international episode even more bizarre and confusing. In this video, I just want to go and talk about how, again, had this happened under Trump, we would have heard about the first balloon. We would have heard about the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, anything. It could have been a parade balloon that flew overhead. And you know what? If Trump was still in office, they would be hawking and constantly talking about this story. But again, because Biden is in office and because Biden is a Democrat, the mainstream media, their guard, their royal guard of the Democratic Party, the mainstream media, is not talking about this. And again, I just want this to be something to show to other Christians. This is what happens when you don't care about anything else in your country besides the four walls of your church. You elect moronic leaders like we have in office right now, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and all the rest of them that are under his tutelage. This is what you get. And this is what happens when Christianity abdicates society. We get things like this. Again, you might think this is no big deal. It's just balloons. What are balloons going to do? Oh, they're just surveilling. Well, I think we as Christians in America, we need to be aware that yes, we might live in the greatest country on planet Earth. Other countries on Earth don't like us. And one of those countries happens to be China. China is not a local rival, but is a international rival to the United States. Contrary to what many Christians might believe, that America is just, we've just been trucking and roaring along since the Ronald Reagan days. Folks, Christians, wake up and smell the roses. The world is not the way that it used to be. All right. The world right now is kind of really teetering on an edge. I mean, you have China really doing threatening maneuvers to us, to Taiwan, off the coast of the Philippines. As you can see in this article by MSN, Philippines Coast Guard accuses China of blinding crew with military-grade laser. So again, we're in a pretty precarious time right now, especially in my history and in my time living with China. And this episode with the Philippines is just, it's just the latest episode of what China has been doing. This article goes on to say, down here lower into the article, this episode with the lasers is the latest sign of rising tensions in the region. Just days earlier, the Philippines reinvigorated its military ties with the United States. The two countries agreed to significantly expand America's presence in the Southeast Asian archipelago. As U.S. officials grow increasingly worried about China's threat to nearby Taiwan, and as the Philippines remains concerned about territorial incursions by its largest neighbor. So again, just to reinforce and just to wake up the church in America, we need to start praying, for our national security. Again, if we think that if China were to have its sway and become the world power of the globe, do you think Christianity would have its time in the light? Of course not. Of course not. Right now, over in China, there are many Christians right now who are being persecuted because of their faith in Jesus Christ. And right now in America, we're just kind of seeing that, oh, well, we're so fine and we're comforted, and oh, well, we have our religious freedom and we have our Constitution, all those things which I love and I cherish greatly. However, we need to understand that this whole China balloon thing is not just a small situation. It is not just let's throw it under the rug or let's laugh it off. This is serious. And again, it's serious not on the fact of that China is sending balloons over to our land. It's serious on the fact that we wouldn't probably have this situation had Christians stood up in 2022, in 2020, and went to the polls and voted for President Trump. We wouldn't be in this situation right now. But I feel like so many Christians were scared because, oh, Trump, and he's so mean, and oh, I just can't get behind him because of his tweets. Again, Christians, if we are so pearl clutchy over things like that, come on, then we're just going to continue to keep sliding into obscurity in this country and around the world if Christians just don't stand up and make a stand. 2024 is right around the corner. We need to make a stand this coming presidential election in 2024 that we are not going to be okay with any sort of politician pushing rhetoric that is forcing parents to allow their kids to drastically destroy their bodies with this transgender surgery ideology. We need to stand up against these politicians forcing, anti-American teachings into an anti-American curriculum into our schools. We as Christians need to stand up against that. Okay. And if we don't, then we are just as much of the problem as those who are pushing this stuff because we didn't do anything. We didn't say anything. It takes more than just saying, I'm going to pray about it and then just leave it alone. We have to pray about it and then be about it. So again, this video is just it's more of a rant than really anything I'm just sick and tired of the incompetence of this administration. And I feel like we only have this incompetent administration because so many Christians were scared to support Trump in the 2020 elections 2 years ago. And again, I understand Trump was Trump. Trump said a lot of dumb things. Trump tweeted a lot of stupid stuff. However, when it came to Trump and Hillary Clinton, or when it came to Trump and Joe Biden, there wasn't any sense of like, oh, I'm going to pick the lesser of two evils. I can't even really call the Republican Party the lesser of two evils, even though I know that there are people in the Republican Party who probably are not Christian, don't really like, biblical teachings and stuff like that, but they're still part of the Republican Party. They still go along with the Republican Party. I get that. I don't think in 2016 nor in 2020 it was a vote, especially as a Christian, a vote between a better of two evils. It was like, do you want Christian freedom or do you want Christian persecution? Which one you want? Do you want to be able to talk about your God, about Jesus, whenever you want to? Or is talking about Jesus going to lead to your arrest? And right now, we didn't have it in 2016 through 2020, but right now we are really starting to see the incompetency of this presidency and how that they are wholly against Christian doctrine, biblical doctrine. We as Christians need to stand up and we need to make aware and make known that, yes, separation of church and state is a thing, but that doesn't mean we're just going to leave society to its own whims and just let it, rot itself from the inside out. No, we as Christians, we got to stay in society. We have to be a part of society. And in order to maintain our godly country, kind of sort of godly country, not really kind of sort of godly country, but if we want to continue to maintain, in God we trust and standing for our traditional, conservative values, then we as Christians need to get back into society. And again, this whole video is just saying that this is what happens when we don't. These are the consequences of us not really being engaged in society so much. Again, you have Joe Biden with his whole balloon scandal. And, this article goes on to say, some of the events in the last last few days do provoke serious national security and political questions that stretch far beyond the often narrow political battle in Washington, and that can only be assessed once more details are understood. These details include: are the latest incidents linked in any way to Beijing's espionage program described by the administration after the shooting down of the Chinese balloon and other reported crossings of other balloons over the U.S. territory? Any any indication of successive Chinese breaches of U.S. airspace? Um, I guess another detail or reason why China, we really should be taking China seriously. If the, China has been pushing and flexing its muscles for years. And again, with these balloons flying overhead, if they are not a part of China, where are they coming from? And how compromised is our national security because of these balloon objects? But again, I just think that it is just very poignant to look at and very important to look at China. Again, China is our rival. I don't think Russia so much is our rival, but China right now is. And if we allow China to bulldoze us and push us over and make us the weaker ones on the world stage, then I think, especially when it comes to Christianity in America, we're going to have a lot of problems. You might not have all the wonderful, churches that you have right now. Maybe a lot of those churches would be closed down if we allow these people who want to have their government align more with China. And again, China is a communist government. They shut down religious freedom. They don't raise it up. They don't make it better. They shut it down. So again, all you who just couldn't vote for Trump because of mean tweets, why don't you think about this? Why don't you think about the next time you go to the polls? Why don't you think about the biblical consequences of voting for these politicians that are pushing anti-Christian and anti-God, policies? Why don't you think about the kids before you vote against the orange man because his tweets are bad? Why don't you think about the kids and what's going to happen to them and what's going to be taught to them in the future if you allow these Democrat politicians to stay and maintain power? Again, it's not just about Republican or Democrat. It's not that all Republicans are saints and all Democrats are devils. No, it flips and flows between either party. I'm just saying that one party's standards at least uphold biblical truths and values, and that will be the Republicans. The other political party wants to push against biblical truths and biblical values. That will be the Democrats. Choose for you which one you want to support. Choose for you this day whom you will serve. Again, Christians, we need to wake up. We can't continue to stay on the sidelines and say nothing and do nothing. Christians, we need to wake up and we need to take this country back. And in order for us to do that, we need to have competent leadership. We need to have good leadership. And the only way we get good leadership is by elections. And the only way we can really determine elections is getting out there and actually voting. So I'm just going to start right now before anyone else starts doing it and say, get out to vote. If you're a Christian, get out to vote this year. In whatever state that you're in, if there are any elections happening in your state, your local city, or your local communities, go out and vote and know who you're voting for. Vote for the people who align themselves with your Christian values. Vote for people who say that they want to defend your Christian values or hold up or promote your Christian values. Christians, just again, we need to get back into society. We need to stop this whole, be in the world, not of the world. So we're just going to abdicate the world basically and just continue to be in our churches. No, we need to be in the world, but not of it. Okay. Preach the gospel to the world, but not conform ourselves to what the world is. And again, I want to make more videos on this. This is just something that's always been on my heart. And again, just, kind of going along with the, current events. And again, more balloons, more questions. So again, incompetent leadership only comes when good people don't do anything. And we all know the phrase, evil can only persist when good men do nothing. So again, thank you for clicking on this video. I hope to have another one up here later on today. But until then, I'll see you later.